This is American Family News. I'm Steve Jordahl. Governors are wrestling with weeks of quarantine-fueled job losses and soaring unemployment claims, and the simultaneous warnings of public health officials who say lifting stay-at-home orders now could spark a resurgence of COVID-19. The dire hit to the economy is clear. Jobless numbers released Thursday show Depression-era levels of unemployment. 1 in 6 American workers losing their job amidst the pandemic. In South Carolina, more than 14% of labor force has claimed to be out of work due to the outbreak. Most state leaders acknowledge they've not met many of the key benchmarks that federal guidelines recommend before reopening. Cities and states are wrestling with the economic fallout of all this. AFN's Chris Woodward has more.
Starkville, Mississippi, home to Mississippi State University, is no exception. With most students back at home and fans not coming to town for sporting events, revenue is down sharply for many, if not all, businesses in Starkville. As a result, many employees have been furloughed through a time to be determined. Mayor Lynn Spruill had this to say on the JT Show on Supertalk Network.
Our Board of Aldermen, as well as myself and our department heads, have taken a 20% pay cut as a part of this. If we're going to furlough people, then we need to share in the pain, and we have done that as well.
Parks will not be open this summer in Starkville. The pool is also closed.
There have been lots of things across the board that we have done to try to soften this for everyone involved. It saddens me greatly, but it is just one of those things that we had to do.
I'm Chris Woodward.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is insisting that Congress's next economic package provide billions for financially reeling state and local governments. Her remarks to reporters Friday foreshadow a partisan fight as lawmakers look to their next steps in addressing the coronavirus pandemic. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has expressed opposition to providing more local help, at least for now. He says many states running out of money have had budget problems that long predate the pandemic, and he doesn't want to let states take advantage of the crisis to help their coffers. A pro-life leader is claiming God's grace for success in blocking a new Planned Parenthood. AFN's Charlie Butts has details.
Because of the coronavirus, the abortion clinic in Sioux Falls, South Dakota closed its doors. But Pro-Life Action Ministries learned that Planned Parenthood had decided to open a telemedicine shop across the border in the tiny town of Laverne, Minnesota. Executive Director Brian Gibson tells AFN,
the pro-life people in Laverne responded so well, so fast. We learned who the building owner was that was going to lease to Planned Parenthood, and they, under pressure from the community, decided that they were going to discontinue that lease and not allow Planned Parenthood to come in and do these telemed abortions.
Gibson says God's grace abounded, first of all, in that they discovered the information before the facility began.
That is always the best situation because once they're in and they're established and they're doing it, it's much harder to get them out. The second area where God really, through His grace, intervened is through His people. And the people of Laverne and the general vicinity in the area of this little town in Minnesota rose up and were quick to say, don't do this, don't do this.
But more of God's grace is needed. Gibson told AFN while Planned Parenthood failed in Laverne, the nation's largest abortion chain will be looking for another location in another town to fulfill its mission of aborting preborn children. I'm Charlie Butts.
And finally, a bullied boy in Australia has got a friend in Tom Hanks. Fox's Kristen Goodwin explains.
Actor Tom Hanks sending a special gift to an 8-year-old boy in Australia, bullied because of his name, Corona. The youngster from Queensland writing to Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson after hearing they were quarantining down under while fighting the coronavirus. Hanks replying in a letter saying, "You are the only person I've ever known to have the name Corona, like the ring around the sun, a crown." The Oscar winner also sending a Corona brand typewriter telling him, "I had taken it to the Gold Coast and now it is back with you." Adding, "Ask a grown-up how it works and use it to write me back." Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
More news and information online at our website. It's at onenewsnow.com. For American Family News, I'm Steve Jordahl.
listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, great day in the morning, Aunt Sally. Oh, hey, listen, it's Friday night, and you never know what's going to happen here at the Funny Farm. We have something lined up for you tonight that is sure to at least get one chuckle from you. Perhaps will even make you laugh out loud. But nonetheless, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you for taking the time to tune in to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. Charlie, give me just a little bit more juice over on that. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. We're coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And if you've been listening for any length of time over the years, you know that on Friday nights, this place is crazy enough during the week. But Friday night, there is just something that descends down upon us. And it just overtakes us. It comes down like a blanket. And it just overwhelms us. And sometimes we're just completely out of control. I'm not saying that's going to happen tonight. But I am saying there's a possibility that will happen. Because Friday nights are special here at the Funny Farm. My, if you was with us last night, we had a great time. We had some people in the chat room, and then I took you back to an article that I wrote in 2011 that pertained to an incident that happened to me many years before that, before I ever put it on paper or on computer. And tonight we're going to go back in, and I'm going to share with you what happened to me. But before we go there, Charlie's got some things lined up. He is over there. He is loosened up. How about you people out there on the dance floor? Are you ready to go? All right, I can see that you're ready. Good, 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 good. Charlie, hit it.
Oh, I'm slipping away, so don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze, so where do we go, nah, nah? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay, stay. I'm slipping away, so don't let me go now. Your love is exceptional. It fills me up. It's out of control.
Oh, if you could see them. If you could see them out on the dance floor, I mean, they are just getting it done. I mean, they are getting down like I haven't seen them get down in a long, long time. And that's not only out here on the dance floor, because we have windows here in our studio. We can look out into the dance floor. That goes for outside. As I always mention, we have monitors and big screens outside because we just can't fit everyone into the Funny Farm Radio studio dance floor. So they're dancing out there. They dance on the top of their wagons, on the top of their tractors, on the top of their rickshaws. They dance on the grass. Some of them even climb a tree, and they are agile enough to actually dance on a tree branch. I'm telling you, they dance on a tree branch. Hey, how many of you out there want to stand on your head and clap your feet real quick? Tell me. I'm telling you, if anyone can do it, this gang here at the Funny Farm, they are able to stand on their head and clap their feet, and they do it quite well, if I do say so myself. What's that, Charlie? You got it, buddy. Whatever you want to do, you've got the board over there. I'm just sitting here watching these flashing lights and all these funny things flashing across my computer screen. You take it, you run with it, it's all yours.
Stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. What goes up must come down. There's lots of friendly faces all around, and nothing's ever lifting me higher than a touch of your desire. Well, we're all built in right. We just have to hold on through the night. As long as we are watching the fire, we'll be safe from the devil's choir. I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. Yeah, yeah. When things go wrong, it's easy to sing a sad song. Seems like nothing comes for free. Yeah. And it won't take a lot. Your fragile soul will soon be strong. I'll carry you so tenderly. What I wanna say is that I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. Until it gets better, even if it takes me forever. I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it
and then dial the operator. If you need help, hang up and then dial the operator.
I think she said, if you need help, hang up and dial the operator. 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 Hey, last night we had us a blast. I was absolutely surprised when Gertrude Duflicki called in. Gertrude has been here on the farm for, oh my goodness, a long time. And she has a farm here on the farm. And Gertrude, she is something else, for lack of a better term. But anyhow, we had a great time when she called in last night. Before, and you never know what might happen tonight, but before we go any further, let me catch you or take you, what's the term? Take you, catch you. Let me get you up to speed on what we've been doing last night and again tonight. In 2011, I wrote an article about something that happened to me many years prior to that. I entitled it Fire in the Hole. And so let me read just a portion of certain parts to get you up to speed. And then we'll see what happens in the rest of the show. But here's how it went. Let me find my spot here. Okay. Okay. I was on a journey. I took a journey a long time ago. I jumped on the motorcycle and off I went. Well, needless to say, I ran into some difficulties, or some difficulties jumped down upon me. I'm not quite sure how it was. But anyhow, this is a portion of what I read last night, then I'll skip on. Funny that I should say the ride back, because that's where my experience started some 25 years ago. And this was in 2011, so you can do the math. On my ride back home, I won't bore you with where I was or why I was where I was, but I had been to where I was on my bike. After days of riding hundreds of miles and doing what I was doing, I made the U-turn that pointed me in the direction of home. It was the day before I made that turn that I began to experience what turned out to be a very unpleasant experience. Riding as far as I did, one could expect to get somewhat stiff and even sore in some spots. That's why you should stop and rest, walk around, stretch your aching bones periodically, which is exactly what I had been doing. But yet, after doing what I was supposed to be doing, there was something developing that didn't quite feel right. I noticed that I couldn't ride as far without stopping. That in and of itself wasn't a big deal because I was tired, very tired. The real problem was that it was becoming harder to get off the bike when I did stop, and even harder to get back on again. Once off the bike, it became difficult to walk, and I wasn't comfortable when I sat down, no matter what I was sitting on. I knew what it was because Jake kept screaming in my ear. Oh, yeah. Jake is the little guy that sits on my shoulder and talks to me. Well, that was part one, or that was the initial part of the article. And then we highlighted the next portion, and it went something like this. Grandma Strayer used to say there's nothing worse than a toothache or an earache. As I was endeavoring to throw my leg over the seat so I could continue on down the road, Grandma's words kept bouncing around in my head. I was becoming increasingly angry as my pain elevated to about a 14. I know the pain chart goes to 10, but these bad boys that were behind me were taking pain and agony to a whole new level. After gritting my teeth, scrunching up my face, and holding my breath, I was finally able to mount the bike. As I lowered my butt onto the seat, I let out a whimper, or maybe it was more like a whelp. Apparently, Grandma Strayer never had hemorrhoids, or she wouldn't put teeth in ears as being the most horrible. As I started the bike and rode off, I realized that I was mad at Grandma, of all people. She had passed away years before, and here I was getting mad at her for making a statement. I still say Grandma never had hemorrhoids. And so I was making my way down the road. The vibration of the bike, the bumps in the road, the heat, and the oversized hemorrhoids protruding from the back door were all too much. It felt like I was sitting on hundreds of big red hot ball bearings with barbs on them. These animals throbbed. No, they pounded like someone beating on drums. These uninvited creatures that attacked from within or from without or from wherever they came from had no mercy. They arrived on the doorstep with the intention of inflicting as much pain as possible. The hemorrhoids are angry when they arrive. They become angrier after they are here for a while, and even angrier when they realize that you realize they are angry. Of course, if you were a hemorrhoid, you would be angry too. I'm convinced that Grandma never had hemorrhoids. I went on to discuss and talk about how my body was hurting. I mean, every fiber of my being was hurting. And so I made my way home. When I got home, and if you'd like to go back and read this, go back to the espenblog.com, and you can read this. Just go to the category where it says the Espen blog, and then you can scroll down there and click the many pages. It'll take you to the article entitled Fire in the Hole. This is part 3 of the article. As I sat there in the dark, I knew I had to do 2 things. First, I had to get myself off the bike. Second, I had to get myself in the house where there might be a slight chance of finding some relief, although I knew that facing my mom would not bring any relief, only grief. As good as it was to be home, it wasn't good to be home. With all the grit I could muster, I slowly removed my butt from the seat. You can say or think what you will, but as I was peeling myself from the bike seat, I could hear that gang of hemorrhoids laughing at me. It was the most hideous laugh I have ever heard. They started jumping and carrying on as they turned up the heat. I could feel them puffing up even further, now that they weren't being pressed down on the seat anymore. Those bad boys let me know in a heartbeat that they were going to express themselves now that they had some room to grow. I stood there in the dark waiting for lightning to strike while the hemorrhoids had their way with me. I wanted to head for the door, but to my dismay I found that my legs wouldn't move. Sweat poured from every pore on my body. I shook from the severe pain that the monsters had inflicted on me, and although my behind was on fire, I wasn't able to drop and roll. I was paralyzed by pain. The experience that I was experiencing was becoming an experience that I certainly didn't want to experience any further. I forced my feet to do the shuffle move toward the door. I was all right until I got to the steps. Now what? Oh boy. Now what? I'll let you right there, because I'll be back in just a few minutes.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s Show with Harry Burt on Spreaker.com.
Hey, this is Harry over here in Ireland. Welcome you to the Swinging 60s Show. Sunday evenings, 2000 hours GMT. I will play Beatles, Kinks, Beach Boys, Carpenters, Elvery Brothers, lots of classic oldies. We have quizzes. We have all things going on here. So Google the Swinging 60s Show. Be heard. Come into the chat room.
Call a friend, text a friend, email a friend. What's some other ways that you can reach your friend? Whatever it is, get on whatever device you reach out to other people with and tell them that the George Espenlaub Show is live right now on Spreaker.com, and we are coming from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. This is Friday night, and we're just light, loose, fancy free, all those good things. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to do what, when they're going to do it. We just don't know. We don't have no plans. We don't have no set format. We just throw it out there, and wherever it goes and whatever it hits, that's all right, too. Let me get back to Fire in the Hole. I had made it back. I made it back home. I stood there in the dark. I'll read this to you again. Waiting for lightning to strike while the hemorrhoids had their way with me. I wanted to head for the door, but to my dismay, I found that my legs wouldn't move. Sweat poured from every pore on my body. I shook from the severe pain that the monsters had inflicted on me, and although my behind was on fire, I wasn't able to drop and roll. I was paralyzed by pain. This experience that I was experiencing was becoming an experience that I certainly didn't want to experience any further. I forced my feet to do the shuffle move toward the door. I was all right until I got to the steps. Now what? While I'm stuck at the foot of the steps leading into the house, allow me to give you some interesting facts about hemorrhoids. There are some 86% of Americans that have some type of hemorrhoids. Now remember, this was back in 2011, so I'm sure that number has changed. These monsters from the deep are no respecters of people or age. Now here is something to think about as you go through your day. Only humans get hemorrhoids. No animals get to experience hemorrhoids. Also, 50% of Americans will have experienced hemorrhoids in one way, shape, or form by age 50. Hemorrhoids are also known as piles. Nope, Grandma never mentioned piles. After reading that they are also called piles, I sat back and thought about it. Webster's dictionary definition of piles is hemorrhoids, which lead me to find the definition of hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids is a swollen mass of dilated veins at or just within the anus, or as I say, at just inside the doorway. I believe the swollen mass is the key phrase here. Picture this, and you'll see that the word piles makes sense. At or just inside the doorway is a pile of dilated veins that are swollen, on fire, itching, and very, very angry. Can you see the pile up? Did you know that hemorrhoids are graded? Grade 1 is a hemorrhoid that never show themselves. I didn't have that kind. Grade 2 is the ones that show themselves and then returns where they came from after they take care of business. These guys must be like a hit-and-run driver, or like a mouse that comes out of hiding and then returns after doing whatever he was doing. I didn't have that kind either. Grade 3 hemorrhoids must be put back inside the doorway manually. This grade has me puzzled. Is there some kind of tool you can purchase? Would it be called a hemorrhoid replacement tool? Where do you buy such a device? These are questions that I have not found answers to just yet. I didn't have this type. Grade 4 must be the worst kind. I'm told that these bad boys come out and refuse to go back into their hiding place. If they are forced back, they push their way out again. These brazen, hard-headed, contrary, devilish hemorrhoids appear to inflict the most pain possible. They won't be pushed or shoved around, and by the time they are done with you, death is looked on as a friend. I told you that before, didn't I? These external grade 4 hems are created under the skin just inside the doorway. They come complete with swelling, soreness, and will turn blue or purple when thrombosis sets in. I had no idea that hemorrhoids played trombones, but after thinking about it for a while, it began to make sense. You have to expand your mind to understand what I'm about to say. Think of the last time you saw a trombone player. Their cheeks puff way out like they are swollen. Their lips must get sore smashed up against the mouthpiece. Their faces turn blue or purple from blowing so much air into that thing. To me, and only to me, I can see the comparison. But those trombone-playing hemorrhoids weren't making sweet music. This grade 4 type of hems is the one I had. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Grandma never had hemorrhoids. I've come to the conclusion that everything and anything causes hemorrhoids. Look at it. Constipation, diarrhea, lifting heavy objects, poor posture, prolonged sitting and prolonged standing, eating the wrong foods, overweight, and straining too hard when you have to have a move. If that's not enough, let's add too much booze, too much caffeine, and smoking to the list. There are probably others, but you get the picture, right? With all the advancements in a medical science, we know that might cause these only human-attacking creatures from the deep, but no one knows why. Hemorrhoids are still a mystery to medical science in some respects. That long list of causes that I just mentioned doesn't hold any weight with me. I'm not convinced that hemorrhoids need any of those things on the list to show up. I believe that anything that grows that big, that inflicts that much pain, bleeds that much, burns that hot, and arrives on the scene that angry doesn't need any of those things to get it started. My conclusion is that these vicious people-attacking monsters come when they want to, do what they want to, and jump on anyone they want to. No, sir. Grandma never had hemorrhoids. The next time you do the watch people thing, either at the mall, an airport, a sporting event, etc., pay particular attention to how folks are walking. Watch their faces to see if they are grimacing, and make sure to watch how they are sitting. Are they sitting on one cheek? Tilted to the left or right. Are they sitting on their hands so that both cheeks are off the chair? These signs don't necessarily mean that one may be afflicted with hemorrhoids, but with 86% of Americans having some type of hemorrhoid, you could very well be witnessing an attack from behind, at, or just inside the doorway. So, there I stood at the bottom of 3 steps that led up to the door. How was I going to get up those steps, open the storm door, and open the door that led into the house in the condition I was in? I'll have to come back and put a part 4 on this puppy. I get long-winded sometimes, but oh well, no one is ever in a hurry in our world. Come on in here with me. It's safer in here than it is out there in your world. And I concluded this part of the article. Thanks for stopping by. Tell all your friends and neighbors to drop in at the Espenlaub. You can kick off your shoes, lean back in your chair, and listen to the radio show while you're reading the articles. And there I was, that night, standing with just 3 steps separating me from the storm door and to the door that led into the house. I don't know if you've ever had these bad boys. Has anybody out there had them? Well, I'm telling you what, if you ever had them, you wouldn't laugh. I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny then. My goodness gracious.
Hello, 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 hello.
And hello to you, too. It's Friday night here at the Funny Farm, and you're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you from this crazy place. And the whole gang here is so thankful that you took the time to tune in. I want to say hello to my good friend Ed Temple in Columbus, Ohio. I'm so glad to see him in the chat room tonight. Thank you, Ed. And for all the other people that are listening, near, far, and wide, we are here at the Funny Farm. I want to take you back into the Espenlaub, if I can find my place. I'm always losing my place, or I'm always losing the thought that I had that I wanted to say. When I was thinking about what to say, I lost my thought. Anyhow, let me go to this portion here of the article that is entitled Fire in the Hole. Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. 3 small concrete steps separated me from reaching the door that could lead to relief. I tried bending over, thinking that maybe, just maybe, I could crawl up the steps. But when I attempted that maneuver, the hemorrhoids turned up the heat, throbbed like someone was beating on a bass drum, made sure the pain level was raised to at least a 15, and laughed so hard that I thought Mom would come out to see what the commotion was all about. Now, if you've ever had these bad boys, I'm telling you, they speak to you and they express themselves in ways that you never thought possible. Should Mom open the door and find me in this position, she would thump and bump on me first and maybe, just maybe, ask questions later. I still say Grandma had no idea what hemorrhoids were like. I straightened myself up, took a deep breath, scrunched my face up real tight, lifted my foot up on one step, whimpered, broke out into a cold sweat, and forced myself to climb those 3 steps. I was trembling when I opened the storm door and reached for the doorknob. Imagine how I felt when I turned the knob, pushed on the door, and nothing happened. The door was locked. Panic overwhelmed me as I realized that the key to this door was in my travel bag attached to the motorcycle that was sitting in the driveway. I stood on that top step crying like a baby, paralyzed by pain from hemorrhoids the size of grapefruits, wishing that lightning would strike me dead or Mom would fling open the door and shoot me. Knowing that lightning wasn't going to strike me and put me out of my misery, I had to rely on Mom. Surely she had heard all the commotion I had been making since my arrival. I had visions of her inside the house, loading the shotgun and moving slowly to the door. If I wiggle the doorknob one more time, she'll shoot right through the door, blow me off the steps, and put an end to my misery. None of that happened, so I found myself stuck again. By now, I was wishing that Grandma had experienced hemorrhoids at least once in her life. Do you know how many times I had found myself stuck those 3 days leading up to this time being stuck? I had been stuck on the motorcycle seat not once, but every time I had to get off. I had been stuck every time I had to get back on. I had been stuck every time I had to sit down and get back up. I had been stuck at the foot of those 3 steps that I climbed, and there I was stuck at the top of those very same steps. What I would have given for a tub of warm water right about then. Perhaps, If I could put my butt in a tub of lukewarm water, I could drown those bad boys. I must have been getting delirious, thinking that you could drown hemorrhoids. When I gathered my senses, I realized that trying to drown those bad boys weren't going to do anything but make them angrier than they already were. I was stuck. Once again, I was faced with two choices. I could attempt to get back down the steps, go to the motorcycle to retrieve my keys, turn around and do what I had already done, which would take me only God knows how long. Or I could bang on the door, hoping that my mom would come open it and kill me. I chose the latter, knowing that she wouldn't kill me, but hoping she wouldn't knock me down the steps. I couldn't make that climb again. My butt was on fire. My legs ached. I was exhausted, sick to my stomach, and even my hair hurt as I lifted my hand to bang on the door. I knocked gently at first, but that didn't work. I knocked louder, but that didn't get a response either. As I became more desperate, the louder I banged. Each loud knock sent shockwaves all the way to my butt, which caused me to cry even harder. I knew that my mom had heard the very first knock, but she wasn't going to answer the door until she was good and ready. I could picture her sitting in the chair with a big grin on her face, knowing that there was something wrong by the way I was knocking. After what seemed forever, I heard the door being unlocked, watched the doorknob turn, and saw the door swing open that led into the house. As I looked up at my mom, I saw fire shooting from her eyes. She was snarling at me, and her fists were clenched as she moved away from the door. Grandma never had to go through this, even if she didn't have hemorrhoids. My mom watched as I half crawled, half fell over the threshold. What I would have given for a little TLC right about then. But knowing that I had been AWOL, I accepted the fact that there would be no compassion shown on the part of my mom. I couldn't help but think that the anger of the hemorrhoids and the wrath of my mom was more than one man should have to bear as I shuffled my way through the kitchen, heading for the bathroom. All had been quiet up to that point, but I knew that wasn't going to continue much longer. I watched out of the corner of my eye as my mom followed me. Her face was a glowing red like a fire that was burning out of control. Her eyes were glazed over, looking like something out of a horror movie, and her fists were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. I was trying to move as fast as I could while keeping an eye on her fists. My mom has some of the fastest hands I have ever seen, and trust me, I've seen them up close and personal. She was so fast with those hands that she made Sugar Ray Leonard look like a chump. I knew she was about to make her move any second now, so I put my head down and shuffled for all I was worth. My mom shot around me like a bullet. Why Grandma would have looked like a bullet going by as slowly as I was moving. Of course, Grandma never had hemorrhoids either. Once by me, my mom squared herself and put her hands on her hips, causing me come to a complete stop, although I was barely moving. With nostrils flaring, eyes blazing, and fists clenched, she spoke. Where have you been? Why didn't you call? Is it just so hard to stop at a phone and call me? Now remember, we didn't have cell phones then, so you had to stop at a phone booth or someplace that there was a phone booth and make a call. Why didn't you tell me you were going somewhere? My mom asked questions almost as fast as she could move her hands. There I was, stuck again. With the hemorrhoids sounding off to the rear and my mom sounding off in front of me, I felt like I was going to pass out. I said I felt like it. I knew darn well I couldn't get so lucky. The sounds of angry hemorrhoids laughing hysterically while stoking up the fires and growing bigger by the moment, compiled or coupled with Mum shooting fire out her nose holes, was far too much for me to bear. I crumbled to the floor, curled up in a fetal position, and bawled like a baby. I just knew that Mum was going to get down beside me, pat my head, whisper sweet things in my ear, and tell me she would make everything better. Not. I'll tell you next time what happened to me as the wrath of Mum thundered down upon me. Where was death when I need him most? Must I wallow in my misery and suffer to the point that I thought I was going mad? Don't say it. I know what you're thinking. And then I concluded this. Tune in to the radio show, leave some comments, and ask questions. Tell all your friends and neighbors to drop in the Espenlaub. Let me know if you're getting as crazy as the rest of us. See you later, boys and girls. Wow. Let me go back over here. Whew. Man, our time is going by so quickly. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where I was at that particular time. Laying on the floor in a fetal position, just praying for death to come and take me away. I just couldn't handle it. And you know something? It was all my fault.
The truth that they
righty. I want to encourage you to go to the espenblog.com. TheEspenblog.com. Espenblog.com. And there you can read all about it. There's categories over there on the side. Ed said, and you can read all of Ed Temple's articles that he has posted on our blog. Charlie's writings, Miss Ernestine's, Harvey. It goes on and on and on. We have several writers here at the Funny Farm editorial desk, place, publication, whatever you want to call it. It's called the Espenblog. It's been in operation for a long time. And go there. I think you'll find some enjoyable things to read about. And I'll catch you next time, and we'll just continue on with Fire in the Hole. When I sit here and I read that, wow, it's not too hard to feel, even now, after all these years, to feel some of the pain that I felt way back then. Whew, my. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, thank you for taking the time to tune in tonight. So wherever you're at, no matter what time it is, if it's daytime where you're listening, have a great day. If it's nighttime, you have a very pleasant night. But regardless of what time it is or where you are, I want to encourage you, love one another, take care of one another, and please remember, take the time to tell someone that you love them. It won't hurt you. I promise you, your face won't break if you say, I love you. And you know what? It might just possibly save a life. So do that. I trust and pray that your weekend goes well. But I know many of us can't go too far, can't do too many things. I just pray that God will keep you right in the center of His hand. And so until next time, we'll get back to Fire in the Hole. Remember, tell your friends, those that didn't listen to us live tonight, tell your friends that they can go in and they can listen to any episode that they so choose. Download any episode they so choose, as many as they so choose, and it don't cost you nothing. Put the word out there. The George Espenlaub Show. We do live stream shows on the George Espenlaub Show on Facebook. This is our radio program. And, of course, the Espenblog. So until next time, for me, Charlie, all the gang here at the Funny Farm, thank you for tuning in, and may God bless you. Good night, everybody.